We've action from no fewer than 8 rallies on this month's acceleration, plus details of our own rally scholarship scheme. And firstly, we're off to Ireland.
The tranquil water of Lough Lean doesn't reflect the turmoil that's taking place between the Killarney District Motor Club and the RIAC, the motorsport's governing body. In the blissful sunshine, temperatures have been rising as the event's new European Championship status has brought organisational restrictions that Clerk of the Course Mike Marshall had hoped to change. As those changes haven't been sanctioned, the club have taken the dramatic late decision to forgo their European and international status in order to run the event in the order that they feel to be safe for their event. The Dunlop Tarmac Championship is currently one of the strongest in Europe, benefiting from its policy of allowing Group A, Group N and modified cars. European and World Championships only allow A and N, so maybe we're better to steer clear of the FIA's restrictions. But in doing so, we may close the door to the ultimate goal of a World Championship event in Ireland. It's unfortunate these problems weren't solved before everyone came to Killarney. But anyway, John Price is happy with the late change.
I'm not here to run at the back of the field for safety reasons. I'm here to get a top 10 result. Whether it's European Championship or around or not, I think sense prevailed and the decision was reversed and we start in our original start positions.
With the politics thankfully forgotten for the time being, we can concentrate on the rallying and Fisher's fabulous new car.
Bertie, 4 in a row in Killarney. What are the chances of making it 5 in the new car?
Well, obviously it is a new car and it's the first time up Malls Gap or in fact up any special stage on tarmac with it, so but I don't know, you know, if everything falls our way, we're as good a chance as the next one probably.
Malls Gap. At any time in any season, the fans flock to get their vantage point at this most famous corner in this most famous stage. Number 1 on the road, Kenny McKinstry in the Caliber Dunlop Subaru Legacy, and 3rd fastest on the first test. Championship leader Stephen Finlay is learning to live with his new co-driver Philip Mills, and also these new stages to him. Yet he's still 5th fastest. You can see the folly of the FIA seeding system as James Cullen's Group N Escort is caught by Fisher's Group A Subaru. How good is the Impreza? 19 seconds better than anybody else. Austin McHale, who lies 2nd to Stephen Finlay in the British Rally Championship, equals McKinstry's time. But then comes the real sensation. Liam O'Callaghan in the Esso Sierra is 2nd fastest on Malls Gap. He's quicker than McHale and McKinstry and a lot quicker than the unfortunate Maher in the 2FM Lombard and Ulster Escort. Frank has blown the turbo on the very first stage. The Boland brothers have rebuilt their Escort following their circuit accident, and Mike Patterson is in a very aggressive form. He's 6th fastest. Here's another new name, Mickey Farrell, the RD driver who leads the National Rally Championship. Donald O'Donovan is out of luck again. The talented local driver will not make it out of the 2nd stage. And here's the first glimpse of the new Formula 2 Ford.
And then we have the Group N leader in the 4 Lanterns Escort, James Cullen. Ian Greer continues to get to know his new Nichols-backed Toyota. And for Enda Nolan, it's a whole new front-wheel drive world in the RS2000, with the Formula 2 cars in 12th place. Stephen Roach on stage 3 is about to encounter other people's problems.
Right through, 50. Careful, careful. Crest right too long. Oh, stage locked. This will be a bad accident.
Bernard Smith's predictions were correct. Frank Marr's Lombard and Ulster 2FM Escort has been destroyed in a high-speed accident on Gorton again. Fortunately, both Frank and his co-driver, Gareth O'Callaghan, are perfectly all right. Although obviously, judging by the impact on the car, they're badly shaken.
Kilcummin and Fisher will lose 16 seconds to Finlay due to a costly overshoot. This reduces Bertie's lead over the pilot driver to 13 seconds. We now have a real rally on our hands. The Calibre Subaru is also being driven to its limits, as we can dramatically see. But Kenny's main concern is third place, which he has just regained. Kenny is having an intense battle with Austin McHale for that position. But both are now a minute behind the Fisher-Finlay tussle. And it would seem that once again, technology has moved up a gear, as there is not much either of these fine drivers can do about the leaders. Hutter Harrison, wisely cautious here, has his own problems, as both Mike Patterson and Bob Fowden, seen here, are on the same minute in the battle for fifth place. Eamon Boland is knocking on the top 10 in his similar Escort Cosworth. And Ian Greer, now 12th, is getting a little too adventurous. Enda Nolan seems to have the bad habit as well. And Cathal Arthurs, lying in an excellent 15th place overall, almost loses the Eurocables Escort.
Day 2 on the Carling Rally of the Lakes. The weather's cooler, but not the pace. And this is the hottest round of the Dunlop Tarmac Championship so far this season. Fisher is now on very familiar territory. Malls Gap, Ballochbema, Cara Lake and Churchtown. And he's throwing his mobile Toughmac Impreza into these stages with gay abandon. This is Fisher at his very best. He's been fastest in 6 of the 9 stages yesterday, and he's taken another 20 seconds out of Finlay on his second run up the gap. But make no mistake about it, this is a fabulous drive from the Killarney novice, Stephen Finlay. Stephen is keeping the pressure on the rally leader, despite his lack of knowledge of the Kerry stages. But any chance the young Ballygawley man had of taking his second tarmac victory in succession is evaporating, as Bertie has taken victory here for the last 4 years on exactly the same roads. Whoa, that was a close one. Kenny has quickened up today too. He sets second fastest time on Malls Gap as his raging war with Austin McHale continues. With the 4 top men still in the event, it seems that the whole country has come to see this epic event. On Churchtown, Kenny goes to the top of the charts for the first time. Austin has had his problems. A fuel leak and a headache caused by the fumes on the first day, and a return of that old brake problem in the Toyota. Now his turbo intercooler is giving trouble, causing the engine to overheat with a subsequent loss of power. Still, he holds on to that 4th place. Pater Herson is another Killarney novice. This is the first time that the Warren Point driver has experienced the daunting Kerry stages. But that inexperience doesn't show here, as the 1992 national champion battles to retain his 5th place. Although he has a close encounter with the straw bales. But he has to press on, as Bob Fowden is now in a charge and he's just a minute behind the Metro driver. Fowden has in fact moved ahead of Mickey Farrell to take 6th place. Farrell has adapted quickly to the Subaru, and with only a minute and a half separating 5th and 8th places, there's a great 2nd division battle taking place, which also involves Mike Patterson. Eamon Boland has made it into the top 10 in the Hertz Escort. James Cullen and Ellen Morgan, despite breaking their 2nd expensive gearbox in the event, are 9th, and the comfortable leaders in Group N. Ian Greer is having a battle with Luke McCarthy for 11th place.
Greer.
It's certainly keeping Ian's wife on her toes. Luke McCarthy is great to watch as he battles to head the 2-wheel drive honours in his rear-wheel drive Sierra. But Enda Nolan in the front-wheel drive Escort built by Gordon Spooner is only 10 seconds behind. Enda and the new Formula 2 car are impressive. And where's John Price been in this rally? The Welshman, try as he always does in the Duckham 6R4, has been hampered with a down-on-power engine.
And so the Rally of the Lakes goes to Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy. Incredibly, it's Bertie's 5th win in succession, and in doing so, he surpasses the great Billy Coleman's record. Stephen Finlay and Philip Mills consolidate their lead in the Dunlop Tarmac Championship with their 2nd place in the Pilot Escort. And Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott have been in cracking form today, taking 4 fastest times and 3rd overall in the rally. Austin McHale and Brian Murphy have battled all the way, but as Connolly's camcorder shows at the end of Cara Lake, things can get a little back to front. Quick thinking here as Austin finishes the stage in reverse. Pater Harrison and Ian Porter are heading for 5th, but it'll be a close run thing. Once again, Connolly's camcorder is on the scene. Harrison will finish, but not so Bob Fowden, who crashed out heavily on this stage.
The wheel of fortune has turned again for Bertie Fisher. After a non-finish in Galway and a non-appearance on the Circuit of Ireland, He opens his defence of the Tarmac Championship with a maximum score in Killarney. But his undoubted danger is the new man, Finlay, who's been in the top 3 places on the first 3 events of the season.
Finlay's 15-point lead could be very useful at the end of the year, but with McKinstry, McHale and now Fisher well in the points, it promises to be a classic season.
Long continues, flat left 30, flat right 60, easy left long.
That was Malcolm Wilson driving on the Scottish Rally. And anyone who has seen him at work in his Escort Cosworth would think that he had enough to do simply driving his Michelin pilot car and testing for the Ford World Rally Championship team. But that's not enough for this man, as he has his own much-respected motorsport business as well. Simply titled Malcolm Wilson Motorsport, the company firm not only prepares the Team Michelin pilot cars of Malcolm and Stephen Finlay, but cars for teams from all over the world. Of course, it's the Michelin pilot cars that take pride of place in the workshop. Unfortunately, in 1994, the car's reliability, with one notable exception, and the driver's ability to keep the cars on the road means that in most cases the Escort Cosworths need little more than a good service between each event. That in itself is good news, as in the workshops there is plenty more to be done, with new cars being built all the time, as well as cars being run in the UK for Brian Bell, Alan Peacock and Peter Vassallo. At the time of this visit, Malcolm Wilson's car was being prepared for the Pirelli Rally, round 2 of the Mobil 1 Top Gear Rally Championship, which is in effect Malcolm Wilson's home event. And needless to say, following the disappointment on the Vauxhall Rally of Wales, when minute pieces of metal swore through both fuel pumps, nothing was being left to chance. As for Malcolm himself, he now has the task of explaining how his company operates to a group of journalists.
This is the sub-assembly area, what we call a sub, where we inspect everything, build up all the components for the cars. Everything is stripped right down to the last nut and bolt and bead blasted and checked, crack detected. And then it's either reused or it's binned. You know, there's different things. I mean, you're looking at sort of 500 kilometres for a front disc before it's inspected, but there's other parts on the car that'll probably do 2,000 kilometres.
Yeah. What about suspension bits? Do they last?
They tend to be quite good. Shock absorbers, things like that. We tend to reuse those rally after rally. After they've cooled down again, you can reuse them, and they're still as efficient as they were. Then this is the fabrication area. A lot of work is on this car as well. That little bit of a shift back out to Jordan Rally. But it certainly has took a pound, just to give you an idea that we don't sort of experience these sort of problems on World Championship Rally, and it's just because of the roughness of the rallies out there.
So what are they doing to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's so high speed as well. So this is a problem that, you know, gives a lot more damage than the slow. It's the speed combined with the roughness that does the damage. The time-consuming part is building everything back up and cleaning everything back again, you know, because there's no way you want to send the car back out like this, just screw the components back on. So, you know, this is all to clean down, and obviously it's a lot harder to clean it down after it's been used than it is with a new shell. So.
When a car like this arrives in the workshops of a rally in this state, how long does it take you to turn it over and send it out again as a spark?
Well, this one's got to be done in a fortnight. So, I mean, again, you work to a schedule. You know, we had the one back from the Jolly Club car from Costas Meralda, and we had to turn that one round in like 5 days. And that had body damage on it, and we had to convert it from gravel spec to tarmac. So, I mean, there's a lot of late nights. This is a bit of an exception because of the rallies are very rough out there, so it does take a lot more of the car. It's about 3 weeks' work from this stage building a new car. Because obviously you've got all the little brackets, the individual brackets and things like that to make.
And cage is all fully multi-pointed into the shell.
It's all integral into as many points as, especially into all the suspension. And this is another car that's nearly complete. This is sort of built to the stage now where it could be built in either gravel, you know, everything's on apart from suspension virtually. So, you know, you could decide now whether it's going to go to gravel or asphalt. I think the rally for this is about 3 weeks' time.
How many do you build a year?
I think now we're up, since we started 18 months ago, I think we're up to 14 or 15.
After that, there's just time to frighten a few of the journalists before it's off to do the simple task of winning the Pirelli Rally. Malcolm didn't only win the Pirelli Rally, but the Scottish Rally and the Ulster Rally, and starts the Manx Rally in a few weeks' time with a good chance of winning the Mobil 1 Top Gear Rally Championship for the first time. Now we're off to Scotland for round 3 of the Burma Scottish Rally Championship, the Anderson Cars Granite City Rally.
This was also the second round of the Manx National British Series and attracted many leading English drivers to Aberdeenshire. First away, number 1 seed Robbie Head in the four-wheel drive Vauxhall Calibra, making its first public appearance. The reigning Scottish champion Murray Grierson's Subaru Legacy had a short event, crashing after suspension problems. So to the first stage at Benachie, 5 miles of soft, wet snow. And it continued to fall for most of the morning. First on the road was no advantage to Robbie Head. He felt he was acting as the official snowplough for the organisers. David Galanders won the first round of the British Series in February, and he was hoping to do well on his home event. But even with four-wheel drive, he was finding the going difficult. David Mann almost won the event 2 years ago, but then there was bright sunshine and clouds of dust. Brian Lyle is the motor dealer who sponsored the event. He's a long-time member of Aberdeen and District Motor Club, but he forgot to organise decent weather. Even the wintry weather couldn't dampen Neil Dugan's attacking style. This was the Sierra's final outing before the next round in an Escort Cosworth. Maybe it will find a straighter line. Jeremy Eason is one of the fancied front runners in the showroom class, but he was still caught out, not quite keeping his feet on the ground. This was Steve Hill's first time out in the Mitsubishi, bigger and heavier than his previous Fords, so he just drove across the corners. Stage 3, Gartley Moor, 6 miles of deep, dry and hard snow, and plenty of challenge. For the marshals too, a chance to relax as they waited for the cars. This is George Gauld running behind Head. He was one of the few to have snow tyres, narrow to cut through the snow and dig out the grip, and they seemed to work. Compare them with John Gray's gravel tyres. He was having to scramble for grip all the time. Tony Davis also had gravel tyres on his Metro 6R4, and even with four-wheel drive, he slipped and slid his way through the stage. Roger Duckworth's always good value for money, but the big, burly 3-litre V6 was just too powerful for the conditions. Just look at the depth of the snow in this winter wonderland. This is in car with Brian Lyle, and it's hard work in the driver's seat. It's incredibly slippy. And being the sponsor doesn't give you any protection from the conditions. Let's look at it again.
Come on, lads.
But in rallying, there's usually some help around, and with some muscle power, yes, he's on his way again. And Steve Smith almost went the same way. Callum Guy had been seeded number 43. It was a good position to let the track clear a little. He eventually finished 7th overall. And the conditions weren't getting much better.
All the kids like to play in snow, you know, and we're just big kids wanting to play in it.
But it wasn't much fun for Bob Grant, totally ignoring this left-hander.
It's been quite eventful. We've been in and out of quite a few ditches, spinning, travelling backwards for quite a distance. Totally off the pace. We haven't got snow tyres. I think we're about 40th or something like that at the moment, and I just want to go home now, actually.
Conditions were improving and Head was flying, moving back up from 41st place to 20th overall. Jeremy Eason scored an excellent 6th overall to extend his lead in the showroom class. David Mann said he was lucky to finish, and 28th overall. Raymond Monroe was trying to make up on lost time, but he was trying just a bit too hard here. But once again, the spectators were on hand to help him on his way. Donald Milne had led the rally right from the start, a potentially big accident, but he survived, not least because of his snow tyres. And a best ever result for Gordon Smith, 3rd overall and leading Group N in Scotland. Overlooking the North Sea, a spectator stage at Tullis Hill, a mile from Aberdeen city centre. Thousands gathered in this move to bring rallying to the people. George Gauld showed the scars of battle with a tree in Gartley Moor. No major damage, but it did drop him from a possible 3rd overall to 10th. David Galanders had given a controlled drive right from the start. And 2nd overall behind Milne was his reward, and a leading place in the British Championship. Even a late charge by Neil Dugan failed to make much impression on the leaderboard, and he finished 21st, right behind the equally disappointed Robbie Head. Like the former Scottish champion Raymond Monroe, John Gray had had a bad day. He had snow tyres, but on advice from Murray Grierson, had left them in the service van. He was planning to discuss that matter in some detail later with Grierson. So the honours went to Donald Milne, a second win from 3 events. But he admitted he was lucky with the Metro still showing signs of its heavy double impact in the forests. But after 27 miles of competition, he was 22 seconds clear of Galanders. So relief at the finish for Milne and co-driver Bob Wilson. And here's the result in detail. And this is how the championship looks, with Milne 8 points ahead of Gauld, but there are some serious challengers close behind. All set for the 4th round, the Weldex in Argyll in May. Surely no snow then.
We're over the water again now, but not to Ireland this time, the Isle of Man, for the Steyr-Puck Manx National Rally. Round 3 of the Manx National Series. Peugeot had chosen this event to debut its 306 S16, but it was having a few problems with the bumps. As ever, the high-speed jumps of the Isle of Man really sorted the men from the boys. Even David Galanders didn't like them, and there's no doubting his bravery. Chris Mellors, as ever, was totally committed. Unfortunately, turbo failure slowed him on SS4. Pete Doughty had a similar problem, but amazingly enough found himself in the lead, much to his surprise.
Over grid and left 1 over
Steve Hill
grid.
and Stella Boyles had very early problems as well.
And absolute left over grid, 50. Long right 1. We've got 2.5 miles left.
Okay, we've got no boost for one thing, but it's missing as well.
I can't hear you very well.
David Mann was the early leader, leading after 4 stages. But they had to back off when the co-driver aggravated an old neck injury. And then later on, a differential failed. Everybody else was trying as hard as they could, some with success and some without. David Galanders didn't like this event, but what did he really think of it?
I told you, I said it was like going to the dentist, and it is just like going to the dentist. It gives you pain and also makes you feel scared. I mean, really, we said if we're lucky to be in the top 10, the top 20 when we came in here. We're actually lying 11th just now, which is remarkable because I'm just driving like an Nancy just now. I don't like it at all, I really don't.
Is it just the tarmac that you don't like?
The whole thing. I mean, it's tarmac, it's got slick tyres, as you can see, it's got lower suspension, it's got bumpy roads, it's got... I know you're telling me to say rally driver is supposed to handle all this, but this is alien to me at all. I like big boulders and a lot of loose stuff and rocks and drops, and no, this is not for me, really.
As you can see, they're crawling over the car like ants. Intercooler pipe braked twice on the first 2 stages. Got a strut brake, and now we've broken the clutch 3 stages ago, so we've done the last 3 stages getting pushes off the start line.
What position do you think you're in?
I think we're 4th, so I'm absolutely amazed. They must all be going to sleep out there. I'm pleased to be here. We're very lucky to be here. So.
Do you enjoy the tarmac?
Yeah, I enjoy it all.
So you don't mind the forest stages?
No, I do. I enjoy them both. different driving altogether, but this is a little bit more tense.
We're lying fifth at the moment, but on first two stages we had no brakes. We've got new wheels on the car, and the wheels weren't fitting tight enough, and they slackened off a bit. And with the result, the whole lot of the front discs and calipers slackened off, and we had a very soft brake pedal, so we didn't have very good brakes at all. So we lost about a minute in the first two stages, but since then we've been going a bit quicker. We're not quite on the pace, but we're not far away.
We were leading after the first 4 stages. The first corner on Glasgow, we broke the rear axle. So we've done 2 stages with just front-wheel drive, so we dropped about 3 minutes now, I think. The boys are changing the axle now, so hopefully everything will be all right. Yeah, I think that'll probably take about half an hour. We're feeling a bit despondent at the moment, but hopefully things will improve this afternoon.
It's been quite eventful up to now. We had a reasonable run on the first stage. I'm not usually very good on Abbeyland, so I just tried to bed myself in on that stage, but it was a respectable time. And then halfway through the second stage, the turbo blew. So I thought the rally was over. But we carried on to the finish, and we lost about half a minute. Changed the turbo and carried on. And I'm as surprised as anybody to be in the position I am.
So what position are you running at the moment?
I think we're leading by 40 seconds.
So, very surprised Pete Doughty finds himself in the lead, with David Gallagher struggling on to enjoy the rally to some degree. As for the rest of the crews, try as hard as you can.
Yeah, come on, 50. Absolute left, 100. Absolute right to long, absolute crest. Into right 3. Into open hairpin left. Into right 4. And right 4. 100. Absolute crest. And left 2 by pole in front. 50. Left 1 over crest, into right 1, into left 1. And absolute crest, 50. Absolute left, 50, to turn, left 9. Right 2, left 2. 50.
And so, after a fast and spectacular event, it was Pete Doughty and Jerry Freeman who took victory in the Steyr Damerput Manx National Rally. And in doing so, Pete Doughty took the lead in the Ears Motor News Tarmac Championship, which in certain respects was even more important to him than actually winning the rally itself. Now for the first details of our own rally scholarship scheme, which is being run in association with Shropshire Rally School Promotions from Whitchurch. Don't watch this if you think you might win the Shell Scholarship Award. Everybody has to start somewhere, and if you're a novice driver, or indeed someone who has never even taken part in a rally, the next 3 minutes could see you on the way to winning the first rally scholarship scheme that we have been involved in. 2 lucky people, 1 male and 1 female, will have the chance to win a championship season's rallying in 1995, simply by taking part in a rally scholarship day at Shropshire Rally Promotions, one of the most long-established rally schools. As you can see, the school welcomes complete novices. People can only just drive a car. But everybody's got a chance, male or female. Being based on an airfield, the school's also extremely safe, and you can improve your skill in your own time. Even if you don't qualify for the final days, at least you'll find your driving skill improves. We have 2 cars already prepared and ready for 1995. All you have to do is ring John Goff on the number at the end of this feature and arrange to go to one of the special scholarship days. Of course, even if you don't win, you should have a good day out in a rally-prepared Ford Escort. And once you've attended the school for the first time, you have a 1 in 15 chance of coming back for the finals, where you could win a prize which we value at about £6,000. And remember, you don't have to have any experience at all to take part, and we are looking for female as well as male entrants, so everybody has a chance of winning. The only way you won't have a chance is if you don't go. We'll also be following the progress of the scholarship winners on Acceleration in 1995, so there was something unique to show to future potential sponsors. Just remember one thing, nearly all of the drivers that you saw in this small feature had their first experience driving a rally car at Shropshire Rally School. And now we're going back to Scotland again for round 4 of the Burma Scottish Rally Championship, the Weldex Rally.
Stage 1 at Ardgarten, 4.5 miles on the hillside opposite the now disused Rest and Be Thankful. Donald Milne from Bankery is the current series leader, but he was in trouble right from the start with a misfire which cleared only after he'd lost 3 seconds to Gauld. He was lying second, but he too suffered a misfire at the start. It's been reappearing since the car was built over a year ago, and he's replaced every electrical component except the wiring loom. Guess what's next on the list? Neil Duggan was on his first time out in his new Escort Cosworth. He was understandably cautious. He hadn't even sat in the car before the rally. The lack of preparation was to prove costly. Mike Horn drives on a tight budget. He ran on second-hand tyres all day, but his skill saw him through with second fastest time on this stage, even though he broke his bumper here. Chris Wagner's Audi lacks the sheer grunt of the big turbo Fords, but here it was looking and sounding good as it bounced its way through the forest. Sharing second fastest time with Horn was local man Jimmy Patterson, at times fighting against his temperamental Ford Escort G4. In the right car, he could achieve so much more. Time to reflect on progress so far.
The car just seems to be losing power at 5,000 revs. The car boosts up to about, well, what it should be boosting to, and then it just dies off and there's absolutely no power at all. But it's the first stage of the rally, so there's a long way to go yet. We'll keep trying, and hopefully we'll get the problem resolved.
George Gauld took time to leave a message for his mum as he coughed and spluttered on his way.
The misfire that's plagued us all year's come back really badly in that first stage. We tried to cure it just further up the road by changing a few electrical components, but that hasn't, so we're waiting to change the fuel pump and see if it's a fuel problem.
John Byrne took it steadily down here. Last year he had a spectacular smack of the rock wall at this spot, but he still managed fastest 1600cc time here. This was Dougie McGillivray's fourth attempt at his own event. He'd failed to finish the previous 3, so he was taking it easy. This is the 11-miler Glendarool, a stiff climb to the top of the hills, and a long run down to Glenbranter village and the first service halt. Here's Donald Milne again, back in full swing after the misfire caused by water in the spark plug wells had been cured. Kenny Dorrans was driving blind. The car's intercom had given up on the first stage, and he could hear none of co-driver Gerald Bailey's instructions. Neil Duggan had settled in well to his new car, only 3 seconds behind Gauld, but regretting his too cautious start. Let's hear the action from inside the Cosworth, and co-driver Stuart Merry's working hard.
Here, right 5. This is tricky. And junction right 8. Tightens. Drop on outside. Tightens right.
If there was a prize for an original colour scheme, this would have won it. Gordon Boyd had spent the previous 3 weeks completely rebuilding his car after crashing it while testing. The colour scheme was the result of a night in the pub with some friends. After second fastest time on the opening stage, Jimmy Patterson was about to do it again here, but the steering rack worked loose and he lost his wipers in a hailstorm, and with them, any chance of success. We're back with Duggan again, and this is the fast downhill section. This is where the speed really builds up, but for the unwary, there's a tricky hairpin, and it caught out quite a few.
Left 5.
This was Donald Smith from Dunn's first time out this year, and it showed. John Byrne was still leading the 1600cc class, but he was trying just a touch hard here. This is John Lawson from Airdrie, about to lose some time. But he got going again thanks to the ever-ready spectators, but dropped down to 49th place. At least he did better than Mike Faulkner from Boat of Garten. Just look at these amateur pictures from Jim Barclay as he almost wipes out our cameraman, diving for cover. Even then, his problems weren't over. Quite simply, it just wasn't his day. dramatic for Donald Smith, though, making a terminal exit from the rally. There was only body damage, but he was stuck fast on top of the logs. Stage 4 at West Loch Eck, almost 10 miles of lochside and uphill into the appropriately named Glen Shellish. With Gauld now out of the reckoning, Milne was in the lead, but battling to hold off Dugan.
Over crest, right 9, left 9.
Milne was quickest here, but Dugan was just 1 second slower. Only 30 seconds covered the fastest 10 drivers through this fearsome stage. Jimmy Pattison was just behind them. Stage 5, Corrialt, 5.5 miles of hairpins uphill and downhill. Mike Hahn finished third overall, but with victory in sight, Donald Milne made no mistakes and snatched a win by 13 seconds after 40 miles of competitive driving. Phil Walker hung on to the coattails of the Flying Fords and was rewarded with 11th overall. And we're back with Neil Dugan again.
And left 7 into right 9, holding outside.
He's trying hard, perhaps a bit too hard in this final flurry.
And left 7. And left and right into hairpin left. Keep in, keep in.
And he's told off by Stuart Merry.
Neil, we ain't going to get to the finish if you drive like this.
With that spin,
Right
he
9.
threw away any chance of catching Milne and had to settle for his third runner-up place this year.
Right 9, left 9.
John Baird is now 6th overall in the championship after his 8th place on this round. And Duncan Jaffrey was the top Burma challenger for the 4th event in a row. Billy McClelland was trying hard, very hard, and after this jump, put the Escort on its side and out of the rally. This was only Malach Nichols' second event with a four-wheel drive Audi. He may have been lucky to survive. Well, he may have been sponsor, but again, Dougie McGilvray failed to finish when he ran out of petrol. Down below, though, Robert Watson was leaping home. So, success again for Donald Milne and Bob Wilson, savouring once more the traditional champagne. And this is how the rest of them finished. And in the championship, Donald Milne is leading by 18 points after 3 wins. But the competition's getting closer all the time.
Round 5 of the FIA's World Rally Championship would take the teams to the Acropolis Rally of Greece. The event now in its 41st year, and one that becomes increasingly competitive every season. To nobody's great surprise, Colin McRae attacked right from the word go, and immediately became the man to beat. He was quickest on stage 1 by a second from Kankkunen, and set 3 more fastest stage times during the day to underline his great speed. Stage 7, the 9.46-kilometre Livadia stage, saw the Scotsman and co-driver Derek Ringer back off a little to keep the car in one piece, as they found the stages to be very rough indeed. The last thing McRae wanted to do was damage the car, and he concentrated on making it safely through the opening day. Everyone was pleased to see Ari Vatanen back in the championship, with his privateer Escort. He was partnered by Fabrizio Pons, famed for her days with Michel Mouton, and Vatanen was immediately on the pace. On the 9th stage of the day, Vatanen set the fastest time of all, just 1 second ahead of Didier Auriol, and that certainly helped Ari Vatanen's confidence. But the main story of day 2 was Colin McRae, who arrived at the start of stage 16 with a broken windscreen, and not wanting to start the stage in that condition, McRae blocked the road. He was threatened with a penalty of 14.5 minutes, but the Scotsman claimed that scrutineers had failed to secure the bonnet at the regroup, and it flew open, smashing the windscreen. McRae would press on to the end of the day, and then planned an appeal to the stewards. The stewards were not impressed, though, with the way that McRae had blocked the start of the stage, and as a result, they excluded him from the event on the grounds of unsporting behaviour. Carlos Sainz was the rally leader, and he intended to become the rally winner. He was very happy with the final day of the event. He felt he was driving perfectly, and the Impreza had proved beyond all doubt that it was capable of winning World Championship rallies. Second place for Armin Schwarz was a tremendous result, especially given the drama-filled first day that the German had encountered. Final day problems, though, included a rear section of the exhaust hanging off and major brake problems once again. Juha Kankkunen had once again enjoyed a consistent and smooth rally, keeping out of trouble and getting safely to the finish. The vastly experienced Finn knows just how gruelling the Acropolis rally can be, and therefore he knew how hard to push the car without unduly stressing it. The final result saw Carlos Sainz take victory by over 4 minutes from Armin Schwarz, with Kankkunen completing the top 3. A fine fourth was Alex Fiorio, with Ari Vatanen in 5th place, heading the Fords in his privateer escort. 6th was Malcolm Wilson, a fine showing on his first World Championship outing, with Fujimoto's 7th and Aris Vobos 8th. Emil Kreiner was 9th and won Formula 2, ahead of his teammate Pavel Sibera. The championship sees Sainz and Kankkunen tying in the lead with 57 points, 10 ahead of the non-scoring Didier Auriol, who retired here in Greece. 4th is Biasion. The absent Delacour ties for 5th with Ian Duncan, Shinazuka, Aghini, Thierry and Alex Fiorio, completing the top 10 after 5 rounds. Toyota lead the manufacturer's crown, but only just. Subaru are closing fast, with Ford 3rd, Mitsubishi 4th, ahead of Lancia, Renault and Skoda.
And now a special compilation of the Kerridge, the Dukeries and the Mid-Wales, all without commentary or music. back to Ireland once again for the Donegal Rally.
Bertie Fisher, like most of the top runners, has been caught out in slicks on this very first stage. Yet he still manages to set fastest time. But that older Subaru is on a real charge. Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott in the Caliber Dunlop car will take the lead by the end of the second stage. But stage 3 is not kind to the Banbridge driver. Kieran Clerkin's camera catches him in a spin at the first junction. And Eamon Owen's camcorder records a much more serious incident. Kevin Robb gets the crash from another angle. It's been a costly mistake, which effectively means that one of the big three has lost any hope of outright victory after just 3 stages.
Birthday today. Had all sorts of surprises. Last night we clipped a valve, missed a gear, and bent a valve or something like that in the engine. So managed to borrow Mickey Farrell's engine, got it in. With what happened last night, we had actually done the gearbox and didn't realise that till this morning. We got that changed as well. And leading the rally, as you well know, and third stage, straight on into a bank on a T-junction. It all seemed fairly under control coming up into the junction, and I just hit a little bit of gravel, straight on. It's maybe not as bad as we think it is. Sort of drive shaft, steering arm. The problem is we lost 3 minutes, or just slightly over 3 minutes on the stage. And, you know, to give those boys 3 seconds is a big thing. Like, 3 minutes is not much of a happy birthday. Not much of a happy birthday.
For Stephen Finlay on his first Donegal rally, things are going famously. He's third fastest in stage 1 and second fastest in stage 2, but he does trail Fisher by 18 seconds. The surprise of the early stages is Peter Herson, who is in excellent third place despite a slight misfire. Ian Greer, the current national rally champion, is also flying in the Nichols Fuels Toyota GT4. The Hillsborough driver is in 4th place. John Price is 5th. But he will begin to fall back with a misfire. David Llewellyn, the former British Rally champion and former Donegal winner, has brought a brand new Formula 2 Vauxhall to Donegal. Who said Formula 2 would be dull? It's good to see Frank Maher and the Lombard and Ulster escort Cosworth in the northwest, following Frank's enormous accident in Killarney.
The weather hasn't improved for the second run through the Friday stages, as Fisher, who's never driven the Impreza in the wet before, continues to dominate. But Stephen Finlay in the pilot escort, having had one high-speed look at the stages, is closing in. With 2 fastest times in the later afternoon, he reduces the deficit from 18 seconds to 8 by the end of the day. Considering his machinery, Peter Herson is fantastic. He's set 2 top 3 times, despite losing seconds off the start line with that misfire. Ian Greer continues to impress in 4th place. And here's the other surprise, Gabriel Snow. The Dungannon driver has recently purchased Stephen Murphy's old car, and he's making the 4-wheel drive Sierra sing. Following his accident, McKinstry was in 31st place. By the end of the day, he'll be back up to 8th. But But before then, another problem. The back window is gone. Nothing to do with the rally. This time a passing car has thrown up a stone and smashed it. More birthday blues. Despite his problems, James Cullen ties with Kenny in 8th place and amazingly still leads Group N. With everything now back to normal in the Buckler Escort, the Letterkenny driver is flying.
Medium left, tight, easy right. And flat left, 20, cut easy right. 20, bad left. Whoa, whoa. And flat left. 30.
The Thanet Peninsula contains the Kindrum, Thanet Head and Knockalla stages, and these 3 tests, which are tackled on Saturday morning, often decide the rally. The Kindrum stage is shorter and trickier this year, and one of the few tests that Fisher is not familiar with. Stephen Finlay takes full advantage and powers the Ford momentarily into the lead. But by the end of the first Thanet loop, Fisher is back at the top, just. Herson, although 3 minutes behind the leaders, is still very impressive. He's in 3rd place and ahead of some much more recent machinery. Ian Greer has made the leap into international rallying, 4-wheel drive and a Group A supercar all in 1 year. He's coping with it admirably. Frank Maher, on the other hand, is rebuilding his confidence after 2 very major accidents in the last 4 rallies. Kenny is also rebuilding after yesterday's mishap and shooting up the leaderboard. By mid-morning, he's back to 4th place. John Price has momentarily overcome his problems and he's back in 6th.
Bertie Fisher is an acknowledged Donegal master, but he's now under severe pressure. And that pressure is coming from a 26-year-old who's now known as a real pretender to the crown.
Stephen, you must be more than happy with that this morning.
Yeah, we're delighted with our time on the first stage. We took 9 off Bertie on it. We stayed on wets for the second one, and then we lost a bit of time in it, but hopefully now this next run over the first, same as the first one again, we'll hopefully make it up.
What about Knockalla? How'd you get on there?
We're quite pleased with our time over it. We're two seconds slower than Bertie over it, so we were pleased with that. We thought it would have took a lot more out of us, but...
Quite a stage, eh?
Something different, I tell you. Some stories about Knockalla, but we enjoyed it.
Knockalla for the 2nd time. And it's Finlay, not Fisher, who comes down the mountain in 1st place. Herson has moved the Tipperary Water Metro up to a fabulous 2nd place. And believe it or not, and you can believe it with driving like this, Kenny McKinstry moves from 31st back up to 3rd. Ian Greer's not been happy with his morning, and the Nichols car is now 4th. While Frank Maher in the 2FM Escort continues to gain confidence, but now he's lost 6th gear. David Llewellyn leads the 2-wheel drive cars in 6th place behind Maher. Then Fisher eventually arrives at high speed in a slightly bent Impreza. He tells his own story.
Second run through Kindrum, very, very narrow stage, and it was a place that we had cautioned in our pace notes. But unfortunately, there was a lot of mud had been pulled out over the corner from the previous run, and it was just over a crest, so you couldn't see it, you know. Back of the car slid into a drain, and I thought there was no problem, it was going to come out okay, but whenever we powered it to go out, it just pulled the front end, the back wheel seemed to be stuck on a rut. And we got jammed actually on a fencing post, and the concrete that was surrounding the fencing post had rolled over and got jammed underneath the sump guard and lifted the front wheels up off the grass, as it were, so it was stuck. No spectators. Rory ran, I think, probably for over half a mile, certainly, to find some spectators and get them down, and we got the post out and we drove it further down the field and took down another piece of fence and got back out onto the road again. Lost over 9 minutes.
Stephen Finlay is now in exactly the same position that he was at Easter, way out in the lead. He just needs a high-speed Sunday run to take his second tarmac win of the year. But there's a mighty battle going on for second place. Kenny McKinstry has chopped away at the opposition for 2 days and climbed 29 places in the process. What a shame that he couldn't have been up there to give Finlay a real run for his money. Poor Patter is in no position to defend his second place as the V6 in the back of his Metro has got progressively worse throughout the event. But the fastest car of all in the Sunday stages is the Impreza. Bertie takes 6 fastest times in a row over the Inishowen Peninsula in his desperate fight to amass Dunlop points.
By Carndona, the final major change in the overall positions has been decided in favour of McKinstry's Subaru.
It was Friday afternoon now. I didn't think we'd be up in second place, but we managed to get ahead of Patter again. He had a spin on the first stage out this morning, which helped us quite a bit. And we had 2 quite good times in the last 2 stages, so fairly happy at the moment.
And so as the 48 survivors complete the final 3 stages, we look at some of the latest trends and results. Formula 2 is beginning to make an impact with Mark Carson's Hurst Group Renault Clio and Damien Keenan's Central Motors back car in the entry. Damien had a particularly good run, up to 13th place, beaten only by Llewellyn's Works Vauxhall. The Doyle brothers again won the Dunlop Junior section and retained the overall Group N championship lead.
And so to the top 10, John Price and Anne-Marie Smith overcame all kinds of adversity to take 10th place in the Duckham's Metro.
Gabriel Snow and Declan Campbell also had problems, but showed real form in their more up-to-date Group A car. They finished 9th.
We've lived through James Cullen and Ellen Morgan's problems on their way to 8th and their Group N win. But now let's enjoy a moment or two of real high-speed motoring with James on the rare occasions that everything was going well.
Frank Maher and Pat Maloney looked much happier after 3 days of confidence building. Their reward, 7th place.
It may have been a test session for David Llewellyn and Ian Grinrod, but it brings them 6th place and a class win.
The mistake on stage 10 may have cost Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy this year's championship, but they managed to climb back up to 5th.
Ian Greer and Dean Beckett should be pleased with 4th place in their Toyota GT4.
Patter Herson and Ian Porter, who for many put up the drive of the rally, had to finally settle for 3rd. But the Warren Point driver has the bonus of receiving the UTV Driver of the Rally Award.
Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott, 2nd place, keeps them in the championship race.
And if you ever need proof of just how good Stephen Finlay and Campbell Roy have been this weekend, just remember that the pilot escort was only 2 seconds slower than Fisher on its first ever run over Knockalla.
So, on his first Donegal International Rally, Stephen Finlay takes 1st place and increases his lead in the Dunlop Tarmac Championship. He has proved he can match Fisher's stage times. Can he beat them in the forthcoming Ulster and Manx International rallies?
It's refreshing to see those new names, Finlay, Herson and Greer, in the top 5 at the end of an excellently run event.
Well, obviously we're delighted. First time in Donegal and to get a win first time. So the first stage of Saturday morning is very narrow and gravelly, so we enjoy them sort of stages, so we're determined to have a real good go in it. So we took, I think, 9 seconds of Bertie in it. So the next time through, Bertie was trying to make up that 9 seconds, but unfortunately he went off and left us with a good lead.
The championship now looks like a two-horse race between Findlay and McKinstry. But remember, only 5 of the 7 rounds count, so dropped scores will come into play later in the year.
Acceleration.